the first consideration should be, I mean, is this even feasible on my property?
Correct. So a lot of times I feel like people get the cart before the horse and they acquire the animals because you were on Facebook and you saw some cute post about these little goats that need a home, or you went to Tractor Supply and came back with a dozen chickens. You know, it's almost become very easy, too easy to acquire livestock and poultry, and so you do it because it was really easy to get them, so it must be really easy to keep them, right? And unfortunately that's not the case. So my biggest first and foremost is, before you bring them home, is can you give them a home where you are? So land. What do you actually have to offer this animal? Because it's not a cat or dog that can live in your house or that you take on walks. And even though you can put a collar on a goat or even a harness on a chicken, as people will do, it's not necessarily what is appropriate and the best lifestyle for that animal.
Yeah.
So yes, you can walk your goats and your chickens, but they should at any given time be able to walk themselves.
Yes.
So they should be able to be outside in a appropriately fenced in area where they can do their natural activities, which is browsing if they're goats, which is grazing if they're sheep and cattle, which is being able to roll around in the dirt and peck on the ground if they're chickens. So if they're not able to do those natural habits that they're built to do, then you're really not doing what's best for that animal. So first and foremost, they need space.
Yeah.
There's always the question of how much space, and unfortunately, that is not a straight answer. It really depends on the species
And zoning.
And so I hate to say it, but it does come down to bureaucratic answers, is that you really got to look into your town and what your town suggests for that animal. Whether you can find that online or call into your town representatives, find it out yourself. But it really depends. And I would say don't take it lightly. I get a lot of calls from people who, have had donkeys or goats in their backyard for years, and now all of a sudden the town is saying they can't have them, and it's because somebody complained or somebody reported. Exactly. So protect yourself and do right by those animals and make sure that whatever your town says is the minimum, that should be the minimum.
Yeah.
Now, the minimum might not be the legal minimum, might not be the appropriate amount for that animal. So you start first with what's the minimum. And then the question is, what animals and what are you doing with those animals? If they're just pets and you're going to let them out of their enclosure to go around your yard or walk them or, do whatever with them, or if they're meant to be taking down, eating the pasture, utilizing pasture, or if you plan on mostly using hay or cut hay as forage, then it really depends how much land you not only should have, but need.
Yes.
Right? So if you have, a dozen cows that you plan on putting out to pasture, you need acres and acres of land, because not only you're going to need to rotate those pastures, you need to keep them going. A dozen cows will eat down a dozen acres very quickly.
And that's grassland. We're not talking about forest.
Correct.
Or rocks.
Correct.
Or bodies of water where you're losing grazing space.
Yes. So, and it's not to say that if you want to have a dozen cattle, you can't unless you have hundreds of acres. You can, but you have to recognize that you're going to be buying in a whole lot more forage, and that you're going to have to have stronger fences, because they're going to be wanting to find other pastures.
The grass is greener
Correct.
on the other side. And we see, we've all seen pictures or videos of animals that are in a pretty nice looking pasture and they're still busting through the fence because it's a little bit nicer and easier to grab on the other side.
So that's where, again, unfortunately the answer is it depends, but it's a conversation to have.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite clients are the ones that contact my practice before they even get the animals, and they say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Can you come out and assess my property and let me know if this is an appropriate space for them, and also what's the best way to utilize this space. Those are my favorite appointments because we get to build something together. Yeah. And there's nothing I want more than for my clients to be successful in whatever it is, whether it be a business, whether it be, a hobby. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to be successful. And the best way I can ensure that is from the get-go, right? So if we come out and we can see and plan together, we just set you up for success.
And so people can contact a large animal practitioner like yourself and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you come out to my property, look at what I've got, look at my facilities or where I would build them, and then guide me as to what I'm supposed to be doing. And then you just charge a consultation fee, and then do you type up some sort of preparation manual?
Yeah. So that's what basically we'll go out, and it's my favorite thing because the other thing I really try and hone in on with my clients is that what works on one farm or one property does not necessarily mean it's going to work on yours.
It's an individual basis.
Correct. And so that's where I feel like people will call me in after the fact and say, I bought all these goats and I saw on Instagram or on Facebook that this other homesteader does it this way, and I've been doing it that way, and it's just not working. And the reason is it's just not all properties, not all, not everything's the same. Your soil's different. Your land's different. The bugs and parasites that are on your property are different than that person's. And so it really depends. And so that's where for me to walk on kind of virgin soil and be like, this is what would work best here, we're able to reach your goals and do it in a way that you're not running in circles. You're not setting yourself back, tens of thousands of dollars before you even get started. We're really able to plan accordingly. And that's exactly what I do is I'll go out, we'll assess, we'll come up with ideas together. I'll say, this is the best place for this. I'll usually give people 2 or 3 options. So I'm not just going to say this is the only way. Yeah. I say like this, and this would work. A lot of times I say this is the gold, silver, bronze standard. And it's not to say that the bronze standard is a poor option. It's just gold. This is the best of the best. Bronze, still going to work, just not as effective or as efficiently. So somewhere down the line, it might cost a little more. It might take a little more time. But that way we can really hone in on what your goals are and get it focused for that.
And more importantly, when somebody reaches out to you, not only are they looking for your support and guidance and getting prepared to get animals, but they're establishing a valid client-patient relationship with you.
Yes.
And that's something that we're having a big problem with. There's not enough veterinarians, especially those focused on large animal. So people who are making that leap and getting animals before they have a veterinarian might not be able to find somebody who's taking on new clients.
Yes.
And then you're stuck. You've got animals, and then most people, if you don't make those preparations, when they expect somebody to show up when there's an emergency. And you personally are to the point, especially you don't have any associates. You are a one-woman rodeo and you've got a couple of employees. So if somebody you've never spoken to before calls you on a Sunday night and they've got a farm animal that's in distress, you're likely to say, I'm sorry.
No, it's true. And I think that's something that's so hard for people to understand, but yes, back in the day, it used to be that all the farmers were entitled to that veterinarian, right? They could call him up. He or she would show up and take care of whatever emergency. Nowadays, it's different. And it's because there's just only so many of us, especially in the large animal world. I mean, there's so few and far between. The equine industry, that could be a whole nother conversation. But they say, I think it's for every 1,200 new horse owners, there's not even a whole veterinarian that graduates from vet school. There's one full equine vet that graduates each year. So, and in livestock, it's just as bad. And it truly is a lifestyle. Not to, go out on some martyr branch, but truly I am giving up a lot of my own freedom and, things because I want to do this career. And as much as I love it, it is a lifestyle and it is a choice. And it's always my choice. So if you're expecting me to always be right there, unfortunately, without a relationship, without knowing you, without having that, I'm not going to be that for you, you know? And the other thing is it's a safety thing too, right? I have to, again, I don't have associates. I don't have anything. I have a 6-month-old. I have to make sure that where I'm going is I know the people, I know the location of the animals, I know the facilities, I know what I'm getting into before I just show up in the middle of the night.